Hello and welcome to Crushing Comics. This is the comics review show for the Comic Crush. Hello to everyone watching and hello to everyone listening on the podcast. I am Spider-Man. With me is Mary Jane. I think I've done that one before, actually, Liz. I'm a bit disappointed. It's because we're doing this in a hurry today. Sorry, guys. It's going to be a bit of a fast-paced, slightly more disorganized episode than we usually do because we've both got things on this afternoon that have suddenly kind of been thrown at us. So we're having to record the episode much earlier than normal, but hopefully that means I'll try and get it out earlier this evening. So we are going to talk about... Hi, Liz, by the way.
Oh, hi, Paul.
How you
How's
doing?
it going? Yeah. Very well, thanks.
We are going to be talking about We Have Demons, number 1. From Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. We're going to be talking about Rogues number 1 from Joshua Williamson and Leomacs. And we're probably going to give a couple of brief mentions to a few other books from this week, but those are the ones we're going to focus on. First of all, Liz, I do have to give you commiserations because it was announced earlier last week that Tom Hiddleston is now engaged.
What?
So he's off the market for you.
Who's he engaged to?
He's going to be marrying an actress called Zoe Ashton.
Never heard of her.
No? Oh, okay. I'm sure she's thrilled. Is that a bitchy? Oh, I've never heard of her.
Yeah,
I don't know who she is. How
never heard of her.
So I'm sure you'll be crying into your cup of soup about that later on.
I try not to now.
Because I admit, I thought you were in with a chance there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was going to be like
6 degrees. Come on, It's really working my way closer.
Yeah, more like 6,000. What were the 6? Actually, can you give me any of them?
Sure. Our friend Claire Lim, interviewed him. That's a degree or 2. Come on, she was totally gonna slip him my number.
It's not like she was popping round to his house afterwards, though.
Baby steps.
Come over and play some beer pong, But yeah, look, I just wanted to pass on my commiserations for that.
Okay, well, thanks for ruining my day.
Oh, have I ruined your day? I'm having to do another podcast with you. Think about me. What am I going through right now? So guys, sorry. As I said, sorry for all the shifting light here because we don't normally record this during daylight hours. We normally do this once the sun's gone down because we are both nocturnal creatures. Well, Liz is. I like to be kind of curled up on the sofa with some hot cocoa by the time we normally record, and usually have to make special dispensations for Liz. But there you go. Liz, you excited about this week's books? Is it, in fact, another fine week in comics?
It was another fine week in comics. I have to say, both very excellent books that I read that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
I was really excited by at least one of these. Not that I wasn't excited or interested in the others. Sorry, that implies that I'm kind of being pissy. But what I mean is I was actually really excited by Rogues this week. Did you want to start with that, or would you prefer to look at We Have Demons first?
Well, I don't know. What are you feeling?
I don't know. We can talk about We Have Demons if you want.
Sure. All right. Let's start with that.
We'll start with that. We Have Demons. We have demons. Some of us have demons. I just have Liz. This is by Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo. I just realised that I've, for some reason, I picked up like the C cover on that. I don't know.
Is that the C cover? I thought this was the A cover. No, this is the A cover.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's the C cover.
It's not. It's the A cover. No. See, if it's the same one as mine, which it is, then
see, I've got 00131 on the barcode back here.
Okay, well, I've got 00111. So what's the difference between yours and mine?
Maybe I've got something special. Oh, I know what the difference is. Is yours sort of glossy and foil and embossed on the logo?
No, it's not.
Oh, well, mine is.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever. Wow.
So, yeah, We Have Demons. This is from Scott Snyder, who is writing, Greg Capullo, who is drawing, Jonathan Glapion, who is doing the inks, Dave McCraig is doing the colours, and Tom Napolitano is doing the letters. I hope I've said that correctly. This is the first print book from Scott Snyder's sort of all-encompassing comicsology deal, which is how he's doing his comics from now on. So he has decided to kind of do a digital first print via Dark Horse. I thought they were going to come out, as with a lot of the comicsology originals, as graphic novels straight away, but they're actually serializing these, which I was quite surprised at. I was expecting a graphic novel. But yeah, here we go. So he serialized the book. Did this kind of catch your eye straight away? I mean, is this something you feel you would have picked up if it wasn't sort of on the roster for this week's pod?
Yeah, I would have checked it out because I mean, it is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo working together for the first time since their Batman run, I believe.
Since Dark Knight's Metal, I think.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay, touche. Yeah, but I really think they collaborate very well. I am a big fan of Capullo's art. You know, he's fantastic, I think, and you know, so I would go out of my way for him, regardless. But you know, the two of them together, doing a horror book, excites me. You know, because I think that's something that they do really well together. You know, I mean, the Batman run, like, you know. I like some parts of it better than others. I really loved the Court of Owls saga. I really loved that third book, the Joker story. What was it called? Death of the Family.
Right.
You know, they're you know, just peppered throughout that whole run. I think they did some really cool stuff with horror themes and, you know, really dark stuff. And I feel like Capullo draws that stuff really well. Like, I think you know, he's one of those artists that really managed to get horror across really well, where, you know, that's kind of a tricky thing sometimes.
I really liked some of that run, as with yourself. I actually really like Dark Knight's Metal.
Right.
Like I was really
which I haven't
surprised.
read. I still haven't read Dark Knight's Metal.
I think Death Metal gets a little too big and too all-encompassing and a bit too crazy for its own good. But again, personal opinion, I'm clearly wrong because it sells like crazy. I mean, like the book, you know, it's one of those sort of new perennials that will keep kind of going for years and years to come, I think. But I really liked Dark Knight's Metal. I liked how kind of bafflingly weird it all was. Like,
yeah,
very strange. And as you say, they do horror quite strongly. And I think Snyder's been, since the beginning of his Batman stuff, has been doing horror themed stuff, you know, as with the Black Mirror.
Right, which is like my favorite, you know, Snyder story. I think it's so fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's by far one of the strongest things he's ever done on Batman. And even the backups,
my god, yeah, that
James
was incredible.
Jr.
Yeah, love that. That was like the, you know, that was probably the thing that made that book.
Yeah, I mean, it was great stuff, and having reread that in the last year or so, and just really loved it. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't really have expectations to this. I kind of almost forgotten about his comicsology thing. It's interesting to see this as the first book, but I think I know why, because this is, as he says in the copious back matter that you get with this, you do get a trade's worth of back matter with this. There is a lot of good behind the scenes material, which I think adds to the value for money of the book, because it's not a cheap book. It's like $6. So, however,
it's a big book.
I do think you get your money's worth. I will say that. You know, he's gone for like the blockbuster horror movie first. I quite liked how he constantly kind of subverts your expectations with this. because he kind of promises one thing, and then via the kind of device of the flashback, you actually kind of recontextualize and reframe the stuff. I was almost worried that this would be too much, again, as with Death Metal, too much book for a sort of weekly read. You know what I mean? Like
I do know what you mean, because it's very dense. It's very dense. There's so much sort of world building that goes on in this first issue, and it's like, it's kind of deep mythology that he's creating, and you kind of have to follow along like as best you can, because, I think he's referencing, probably some biblical stuff and things that already exist, but at the same time, he's making his own world out of it. And so some of the terminology and everything that I think you're going to have going forward, you have to kind of absorb here. It's a lot of book. It is a lot of book. It's a lot of text. But that said, like, I didn't find it too cumbersome. I actually felt like it's, it was a page turner, so I didn't mind that.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, he's incredibly adept at giving you story that you want to keep reading. I think he is one of those writers that does make you want to keep, firing through the book as quickly as possible. So that was a real kind of plus for me, because like initially opening, I was like, Christ, there's so much text in this thing. And as I've said recently, I am leaning more, as I've gotten older, for some reason, I am leaning more towards visually led books rather than text led books. Yeah. I think I'd find it quite a task to sit and read a lot of Alan Moore stuff now, because obviously,
it has so much, so much in there. However, I mean, like when we were doing the Swamp Thing pod, for example, I thought, oh my God, this is going to take me forever to read, but it really didn't, because again, it's just so compelling that you fly through it. So when it's done really well, I'm all for it. But as I would also agree that, sometimes, especially with podcast reading, if I open a book and I see that it's just like tons of text, I'm like, oh my God. What am I, because obviously time is a factor.
Proof positive that she doesn't care about the podcast at all. She just wants easy to read 22-page books. No, I'm kidding. Well, she absolutely does care. I am just kidding around. But yeah, I found it quite daunting. I mean, in this, you get a sort of script treatment. You get the kind of essay that he's written and some character designs. You do get a lot of extra stuff in it that again helps you kind of contextualize the book. I don't know how this was released on Comixology, whether or not it was this issue in digital form, or if he broke up the chapters, because it's comprised of like 3 or 4 short chapters, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to kind of go back and look at that if I had Comixology, which is not something I'm going to be doing.
Well, I mean, nobody has Comixology really these days. It's Kindle.
Yeah, it seems to have all gone tits up, doesn't it, over at Comixology for some strange reason. But overall, I found it quite funny. I kind of liked the horror element of it. He kind of also manages to work in a sort of superior angle. So it's kind of fusing all those things. And I think he does incredibly well to balance those things out. And again, he's constantly recontextualizing what you've seen throughout the book, which is a trick in itself. Big shout out to the moment of the 3 demon babies.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very R-rated book, by the way. Yeah. Just I think both of the books that we are going to be mainly talking about this week are not definitely for kids. Adults only, not for kids. They're both one is a Black Label book, at DC. This one is a very like R-rated book, via Dark Horse. It doesn't hold back from from profanity, from violence. So that's kind of interesting because obviously the horror stuff that I'm more familiar with from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo is mainstream DC comics. Whereas this, I guess they can go a little, further with, pushing the, the R-rated elements.
Yeah, absolutely. And the book is probably better for them being able to do that. I think it worked really well, and I really enjoyed it. Do you see yourself grabbing issue 2?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was like, there's lots of little hooks in here that made me want to keep reading. We've got like a cool protagonist. I think she seems like someone, whose story I want to follow. Like, there's mysteries that haven't been answered. There's, it's just it's a good little setup. That and do you know how many issues it's going to be, by the way?
I got a feeling it's like 5 or 6. I think they're doing like a trade's worth for each one. And he's got some great stuff coming. Like there's a sort of historical kind of barnstorming book with Tula Late coming. There's a lot of, because I remember I ran a story on it on the Comic Crush when it was announced. But there's some good looking stuff coming. Like it, at the very least, all looks great. So I'm definitely going to be kind of dipping in and experimenting and at least trying the issue 1s on this. As with all things, I think always check out the first issue if it intrigues you. And if it doesn't, stop buying it.
Right, sure.
or get the trade when that comes out. I think the worst thing in comics is that habit thing where you're just buying to buy, you know what I mean? And
right.
I think you're a lot better off tempering your tastes. But I've been there, I've been to that kind of collector's thing where I'm just like, oh, grab it, gotta grab it. And I end up with a bunch of unread stuff. So yeah.
How about yourself? What do you think? Do you think that you'd pick up the issue 2?
I am intrigued enough, yes, to do that. I would have to see, because if every issue is going to be $6, I don't know if I want to take that on. But that said, I do think the extra material, if you are a type of person who has to have single issues, the extra material justifies the extra kind of
cost,
cash.
Yeah.
And I think the actual comic itself is longer than a regular comic.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 30 odd pages at the very least.
Right.
So you are getting plenty of stuff. But, there's a lot of books now. It's increasingly becoming where $5 is the norm, which is hard to keep up with. And if that's the baseline and then everything else is kind of going above that, that's going to be a kind of issue, I think, for people going forward, unless they want to pack the books out. I mean, Aftershock, all their books are now $5, I believe. And it's just like, man, that's a difficult sell for me. Even though they're very well produced. There's a great book I'm reading at the moment called Bylines in Blood by Erica Schultz and Van Jensen and it's called Annika. That is a fantastic book, and I'm happily paying $5 an issue for that, or the UK equivalent £4.50. But I think if you want to get more than one of those a month or a week, then that's a big kind of king size nut to carry.
Well, yeah, and as you say, it's like, well, that means you sometimes have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
But yeah, buy the stuff you like, and I did like. I did like this. I thought this was a really strong first issue. Really, and like top work from both of them. And when they, as I say, when they work together, they produce some really strong stuff. So
completely. Just before we move on to the next book, I do want to give a quick shout out to a couple of people. Wayne Gimbird, again, I know I gave him a shout out, but he did something very nice for me this week. He shared something that was a sort of multi kind of thread post I was doing on a lot of the Batman stuff we've got going on the website at the moment. All of which you can find in the homepage of the Comic Crush. The link will be down below in the description after the video. So thank you for that, Wayne. Do check out his page, Wayne's Comics. He does like a lot of filler stuff, really, that you might need to complete a collection. He does it really cheap. He does fast delivery. All his stuff is claim sales, though, so you have to kind of just jump on it as quick as you can. I miss so much stuff on Wayne's page because he always does it on when I'm like traveling home from work. So I'm usually underground on the tube, and I can't, or on my bike, and I can't. I definitely can't be texting to say I want that comic whilst I'm doing that. Comics aren't worth dying for, kids. Also, want to give a quick shout out to Norm Urell, who I bumped into the other night. Norm, it was a great pleasure to see you.
Hi, Norman.
We had a chat about the podcast and about how things are going and what he's up to. It was lovely to see you, Norm. We both send you our love. And big thanks and hello to Gervais Lorraine. Now, we've had someone on the initials, GL, messaging us or commenting all the time on the videos, which we all thought was Gary Leach, the artist, who we know and is our lovely, lovely pal, guy. Yeah. But it wasn't. It was Gervais Lorraine. So, sorry about that, Gervais. We're like, we'll get in touch soon because we both want to talk to Gary. We will get in touch with Gary. And Gervais, Gervais, thank you for commenting and keeping us going with those comments. It's always lovely. Mm-hmm. It's lovely to hear from everyone. If you've got something to say about this week's books or about the show, or about
these guys are all like our pals from Orbital anyway. So it's nice to stay in touch.
I mean, there's a great community of comics readers and fans out there, and people who follow the podcast and things like that. And we just want to say, we love you all. Thank you so much for kind of sticking with us throughout and for tuning into this show. But yeah, keep them coming, keep commenting. Going to move on briefly now to this book, Rogues. Now, I said at the beginning, this was the one I was excited for this week. Did you know much about this going in?
Not a lot. No, I actually did not. I think I probably saw it in previews, when it was solicited in previews, but it kind of snuck up on me this week. I had kind of forgotten all about it, and then I saw the cover, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot," and it's such a great cover. It's such a great cover, and which really actually captures the mood of the book so well, I think.
Yeah. So the cover is by Sam Wolfe Connolly, who's not the artist on the book. It's written by Joshua Williamson, art by Leomacs, whose art I don't think I really knew before, but kind of wish I did. It's colored by Matthias Lopez and lettered by Hassan El-Samni El-Ho, whose name I'm sure I always mispronounce. Sorry, Hassan. But there's a lot of reasons why this interested me. Principally, I love heist movies and fiction. This is the second heist book in a couple of weeks because we had Batman Killing Time a few weeks ago. Second DC heist book.
Because we had regarding the matter of Oswald's body not that long ago.
As well. Actually, back in, was that season? I think that was like season 1. We did that last year, right? I mean,
sure, but not that long ago, really.
No, not really that long ago for us. Mm-hmm. And also, I love the element of time being added to fictional characters, and seeing what happens when people get older. Possibly because I think that's something I've always loved, and I think it's because partly I've always known, we're all going to get there one day. Like, we're all going to get to a point where we can't cut it anymore, or everything's kind of going. I'm getting there faster than most people, I think. I got on my bike for the first time a couple of days ago, and I have to say, it was agony by the time I was done. I only did like 16 miles, and I would have happily died. Absolute agony. So this is that, but set within the DC universe and set within the Flash Rogues Gallery. So you get this lovely roll call, like a movie at the beginning. We've got Leonard Snart as Captain Cold, Lisa Snart as Golden Glider, James Jesse as Trickster, Benjamin Turner as the Bronze Tiger, Frankie Kane as Magenta, Mick Rory as Heatwave, and Evan McCulloch as the Mirror Master, and featuring Gorilla Grodd as himself. So this kind of starts off with the notion that Gorilla Grodd, Gorilla City, is sitting on untold millions, probably billions in gold. And we're catching the Flash's Road Gallery at the kind of end cycle of their lives. Some of them are dead. We're told Captain Boomerang is dead. There's another character that's died, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't remember which though. But one of the other characters has been killed, and this is effectively kind of put an end to the
Weather Wizard.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
And this is effectively put an end to the Rogues Gallery. Leonard Snart is on probation. He's got a job. He has to put up with like routine drug checks and checks that he's not kind of using any of his old Captain Cold equipment. He's not going to slide back into a life of crime. And again, it's that thing of having to deal with bureaucracy as a supervillain, but you have to suddenly deal with, everyday regular life, or not even really everyday regular life. You have to be treated like a common criminal rather than a super criminal. And I really liked that about the book.
Yeah. I mean, he's so downtrodden.
Yeah.
When we sort of catch back up with him, I mean, the book. We should probably mention the book doesn't open with that. It opens with a flashback in a bar.
Yeah.
Where we find out about the about the gold from the perspective. That wasn't actually Grodd though, was it? It was
no. That's I can't remember if it's the guy from like Angel and the Ape, or I can't remember the name of the character, but it's not Detective Chimp. It's not.
Because he's complaining that he's like Detective Chimp and Gorilla Grodd, or he's overshadowed by them or whatever. But drunken gorilla is talking about this gold under the city, and of course Leonard Snart is there next to him buying drinks, and he overhears this, and it's something that he never forgets. Right before a big bar fight breaks out,
and he waits 10 years to kind of
act on it.
Yeah. And what's interesting is you don't know that the bar fight wasn't the thing that ended him, put him in prison.
Right.
Because you kind of get the sense with some of the Rogues Gallery is that they're kind of idiots. And therefore it would be something minor and pointless that would would actually kind of end their careers rather than being something huge. But actually, I guess it implies that if Weather Wizard and Captain Boomerang has died, there was probably some big heist. This is a very cinematic book. Leomacs' art is really kind of interesting because it's sort of quasi fine lined, quasi realistic, but also quite cartoony. Like he manages to really strike that strange balance. And you get all the things you would get from a heist movie, the going around and recruiting the team and whatnot. And I really liked that about it. It was also interesting to see a relationship between a guy and a woman that isn't a sexual relationship. It isn't a father-daughter relationship. It's a sibling relationship, and it's unusual to see that in this sort of book and this sort of story. So to have Leonard and Lisa Snart kind of together, and everyone's kind of living a humdrum life of quiet desperation in this, apart from it seems I loved my favorite recruitment scene.
Trickster.
No.
Oh,
not
right.
For me.
Okay.
The one I really loved was Heatwave.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah,
because just the abruptness of, hey, I've got a job, I'm in, Don't you want to hear it? No.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
mean...
that was great. That was great. I loved it. Yeah.
Which kind of implies the sort of state and mental state that he's in as a character. I think he's going to be problems later on.
Oh yeah, because he's the one who hasn't, he hasn't changed. It seems,
No.
he hasn't adapted to any kind of life outside of, crime.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it seems like he's just been ready the whole time.
Yeah, there's definitely a kind of a thing where he seems most unstable. And then you look at Mirror Master, who is completely wrecked as a human being. And you're not actually told what he's done, but it's kind of implied that it...
Well, you're told that he definitely was, he was on some hard drugs.
So they managed to strike a nice balance of humor and seriousness, and right. I absolutely really loved this.
Yeah, I mean, Captain Cold, as your sort of like protagonist, I guess, he's the most desperate of all of them, and he's the one who feels like he's so much better than what his life has become. He's working in this factory, doing the most humdrum job, one could imagine. And, and he's also looked down on by his supervisors.
Well, it was interesting because he is classed as the diversity hire.
Right.
Because he was a criminal, which was quite an interesting moment to see. And also it's kind of weird to see Bronze Tiger going back into criminality, because obviously he was with the Suicide Squad as a younger man for a long while. So that was kind of interesting. That was kind of interesting to kind of take a look at. And I'm interested to see how much kind of character development they'll get into the next sort of few issues. I think this is only going to be like 3 issues.
Right.
It's interesting. A lot of the Black Label stuff now, I think they've kind of learnt their lesson with. So the Joker Harley Quinn Criminal Sanity book was a ludicrous 9 issues. Right. I'm not saying you're not getting a good comic across those 9 issues. However, 9 issues at $6 or $7 but again, it comes down. A lot of it does come down to the money. Like
it does, but it's also not just that. I think it's also the fact that these books come out. They don't come out monthly.
Yeah,
so it's just too. It's too long a wait for too many books. I think with the 3 issues, that's about right. Because if you're following a book for 9 issues and it only comes out bi-monthly, it's just it's a long wait.
Agonizing waiting for that book. And also the interesting thing about that book was they solicited 9 issues, but you in fact got 8 and a special, but they didn't kind of say, oh yeah, the 9th issue is that special that happens along halfway through the book. It's just like, so I actually spent months going like, what is it, 9? Thinking it had been delayed. But yeah, a bit of research revealed it hadn't been delayed. In fact, the 9th issue had come along halfway through the book. I kind of wish they'd put a bit more investment into doing these ahead of time so they could come out monthly. But, that's their business, not mine,
I think with 3 issues, it's okay, because then, when you get it, you're like double excited. It's like, oh yeah, here it is. Like, here's the next issue. See that? I don't mind. But if it,
I absolutely will be getting all of this. I mean, I get all of the Black Label stuff anyway, but I'm on.
I really liked this. I really liked it. I thought it was really, it took a premise that I think we've seen before for sure, but it did it so well. And like a lot of these characters are characters I'm not even familiar with. And yet I feel like I know who all of them are.
Yeah.
From what I was given here, obviously I'm familiar with Captain Cold, and it's not an entirely unfamiliar cast, but
the only ones I knew, Mirror Master, Bronze Tiger, Captain Cold. The rest I didn't. Right. But I'm not a Flash reader.
No.
So you're always learning. But yeah,
sure. Yeah.
It's a good book. I mean, the colors on it by Matthias Lopez and the lettering are all superb. It's the type of book where you really kind of notice those things, but not in a detrimental way, where it's kind of sticking out. The art by Leomacs, who's now someone I'm definitely going to kind of follow anywhere, I think. Really, really good. I loved it. Yeah. Anything else you want to add on Rogues?
No, I just, I think that it was definitely like the standout book of the week for me. Without, and I didn't expect it to be necessarily, I thought, oh, this looks good, but it was better than I expected it to be,
Cool.
Yeah. I think that, as you say, you don't have to be a flash reader to read it. I don't think you have to know any of these characters to read it and really, really like it. It's just a great premise done, supremely well.
I'm just absolutely there for this. So there's just a couple more I just want to kind of give mention to. Ghost Cage #1 by Nick Dragar and Caleb Goldner.
I have this book. I have this book in my stack. I haven't read it yet. It looks great.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to reveal too much about the plot line and stuff, because if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you, Liz. Sorry. I've just got to bend down to pick up a book that I dropped. Nick Dragar is someone I'm not that familiar with. I believe, did he do East of West?
He did East of West.
Yeah. Which is Hickman.
Which is
writing?
with Hickman. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, he's incredible.
Yeah. I was talking to someone about Nick Dragar at Gosh the other day, and they were saying that when they remember his early work, and they felt he was very much like Allred, in a similar vein.
Okay.
I don't recall his earlier stuff, so
I don't either. I think East of West is where I, sort of became familiar with him.
But this is like American manga.
Right. It's so fine line. It's so, you know.
It's black and white. Russ Whitten's doing the letters, I believe. So I'm just trying to find the credits of the book. So Russ Whitten is doing the lettering and design. Frank Martin Jr. does the color covers, and the David brothers are doing the editing. But beyond that, it's pretty much Dragar and Goldner on this. But yeah, it's a very fine line book, as you say. But like, this is just like, it's American manga, and it very much has that kind of extremity of manga, and the I don't know what the word I'm looking for. The lunacy of manga. I always feel like when I look at manga, I don't know a lot about manga, but when I'm looking at it, I always feel like everything happening really big now, and or at least in the kind of action-orientated sci-fi manga, which this definitely falls into. So,
what would you compare it to? Because I haven't actually looked at the interiors yet.
Maybe things like Kaiju 8, which is new. There's a little bit of Akira in there, I feel, as I suspect there is in a lot of American modern sci-fi stuff. I think it's the one that everyone nods their hat to. But yeah, really good, worth picking up. Again, it's a week.
Is it a sci-fi premise?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to give it away. You can grab it.
Sure. Because I'm sure there was, the solicit and previews would have told me something at the time, but I can't really remember what it was. So.
And Wolverine Patch, which dives into Wolverine's kind of time in Madripoor.
Right, which is like a thing, I've been talking to my customers about this week, where it's like, there's never been a Patch series, like he just kind of, it's just a little, thing that you see sometimes, like for a couple of panels or whatever when he's in Madripoor, so it's actually kind of neat that they're doing a whole series with him as Patch.
2 eye patches for the price of 1 in this, because you get Nick Fury as well.
Brilliant.
Kind of classic Nick Fury. The dialogue in it, it's written by Larry Hama, drawn by Andrea De Vito, inked by LeBeau Underwood, colors by Sebastian Chang, and Clayton Cowles is doing the letters. It very much feels like an old school book. It's very pulp. The dialogue is very pulp. Nick Fury gets some great dialogue. I think it's very much one for the older reader,
right?
The long time older reader.
And is this Nick Fury like classic Nick Fury, or yeah, that's what I figured.
So not Sam Jackson Nick Fury. It's
or Nick Fury Jr. or
it's because I think it's set during that period. So that sort of early 80s, 84, 85, I guess they were doing the patch stuff, the Madripoor Nights and that kind of, it comes out of that era. Again, not an X-Men reader, so I don't really know. But yeah, quite enjoyed that. Do just want to give a quick shout out to just a kid's book out there, or at very least a young adult book, Season of the Bruja, which is out this week, by Aaron Duran and Sarah Sola. Just to give a quick shout out to that. I haven't read it yet, but I will be reading it. It looked like a lot of fun. And that was one of the recommendations. So people on the Patreon, I do want to say a quick thank you to you. The pool lists will be going up tonight. I hope to get that finished off and get that done. I'm already working on June, so they should then be on time. People who are on the sort of prestige format tier, I will be getting comics out to you next week. I'm sorry, it's taken ages. I will make it up to you. I've been very disorganized. And Liz, we've got to do our Patreon show, man. We've got to do our Spider-Man.
We do.
Special.
So Paul and I, we're going to be so busy. Like, we've got our Moon Knight pod starting this week coming up.
By the way, I can officially announce the title of the Moon Knight pod. After talking with Ahmed Rafat today, who's very kindly let us use his title. And he's also going to let us use the logo as well, which is really sweet of him. He's done a brilliant thing that he did for kind of himself. And I asked him, could we use this? We will be giving him a shout out every week and putting a link to his somewhere where you can get commissions from Ahmed, because he's so superb artist. So he does a really good Batman kind of series of drawings and things, and it's just amazing. He's a huge Batman fan, so I've always got something to talk about with Ahmed. So the show is going to be called Moon Knighting.
The best title.
That should be starting Friday evening next week. So the show, the Moon Knight show, goes out on Disney Plus on Wednesday. We'll have that on
Friday and show up on Friday evening.
Yes, yeah. And then Saturday we'll be doing this show. So it's beautiful for us doing 2 shows a week.
Yeah. Plus we got to do that Patreon show. So,
Plus we got to do the Patreon show. So it's going to be a busy week next week. And then after that, we'll get a tiny bit of rest, which is why we took last week off, because we knew that these coming weeks were going to be a 2-show a week deal, and we wanted to put our energy into that. So I hope you join us for the Moon Knight show. The Moon Knight show may be something a bit different. I can't guarantee anything yet, but we're hoping for some really good guests on that show. I am sort of talking to a couple of people right now about coming on. Certainly we're going to get Ahmed on to talk about Moon Knight, and various other subjects around that. But some other hopefully special guests that I can't say anything about just yet.
Right. But we'll see.
We'll see. I fingers crossed it'll happen, but it's all very much up in the air at the moment. And I literally probably won't know until like the day before the show goes on the air. But I'm working hard to arrange things right now. But we hope you stick with us for that. That begins Friday next week, so just under a week from today. We'll be back on Saturday with this show. Liz, anything else you wanna get out there before you?
Well, do keep an eye out. I will also be talking about Moon Knight with my good friend Rob Deb very, very soon. We will be coming at you with a show of our own where we talk about basically character histories. Give you a little bit of background on characters that are coming up in TV and film stuff. So with Moon Knight dropping this week, we're going to be talking about Moon Knight and giving everybody our thoughts, and as much information as possible about this character before the show debuts, and some of our theories about what might happen. So that should be a lot of fun.
The thing I love about this, more than anything, more than just seeing you and Rob together again doing the show, is the fact that it's a show that I can just watch or listen to. It's not one I have to record.
Perfect.
Or do any reading for.
Exactly. That's, all on me and Rob. So
what a great week to be me. I'm so glad. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's like the Full Geek when we did that Orbital and that was going out on Jabba. Always enjoyed doing those. I'm sitting this one out just because I've got a very full plate podcasting, and I got a lot of things coming up over the next few weeks and months. So I'm really kind of looking forward to digging into that stuff. But also, as I said, it'd be great to listen to you guys and watch you guys do your thing. I'm really kind of thrilled that you're doing a show. And be hosting it here on the Comic Crush. So
absolutely.
Liz is very kindly agreed to let the Comic Crush host it, which I'm immensely proud to be able to do. So thank you for that, Liz.
Not at all.
Yeah, great. So that's it. We wrap that show up in 50 minutes, Liz.
Not bad. Good going for us,
Yeah. we should have a panicked afternoon more often. Laser focused. Now, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this week's books? What are you looking forward to for next week's books? What are you reading right now? Just talk to us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and you can pick up any of these fine books that we've been talking about at your local comic book shop. If you happen to be in Worcester, Massachusetts, you can pick them up at That's Entertainment.
And if you happen to be in central London, you can pick them up at Gosh Comics, where I get my comics. And if you're really lucky, you may see either of our smiling faces there as we work at both those shops. So come on down and say hello to us on the rare few days that I'm working there. And Liz is much harder working than me. She does like a full-time job. On the website at the moment, sorry, we are probably going to go a couple more minutes. Sorry, guys. On the website at the moment, we have Batman the Imposter. There's a nice review of that up. Now, there is a load of stuff just gone in today to the web stores. The web shop has now been split into about 4 different web shops. The reason for that is on the website hosting service that I use, you can only have 200 products at a time. And the only way to kind of get around that is to make separate new pages. So there is a button on the website now, drop-down menu that says Buy Comics. If you click that, you'll see all the different web shops we've got. There's a Marvel shop, a DC shop, an indie comic shop, and a Batman shop, just because I've got so much Batman stuff right now. So do take a look at any of those. Things have started kind of flying out of the web shop today because I just put up an announcement this morning about the new stuff we had. So do take a look there. Loads of comics. All that stuff, we buy all the comics for this show. So all that stuff, if you buy it, that helps support us and keep us going. There's also the Patreon, which you can join for, from as little as £2 a month. I'd be really grateful if you did that. it helps keep us in comics and keep the show going, because it does cost a fair amount of money to keep the whole thing, the whole enterprise running. And I'm really grateful for your support. So thank you. With that, we're going to say goodbye. Liz, it's been a pleasure. Mostly for you. Mostly for you. I know.
It's been tolerable.
There you go. There's a slogan. The most tolerable comic show on YouTube. That's because that's what we're going for, right? Welcome to the most tolerable show on YouTube. But Liz, it has been a fine week in comics.
It has been a fine week in comics. I've enjoyed this.
Well, yeah, I'd say I've enjoyed it too. Unfortunately, it's a show I did with you, so there's only so much enjoyment to be had, really. No, it's been lovely. Great to see you again, Liz. Thank you for joining me again this week. Thank you to everyone who is watching and listening. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to everyone who leaves a comment. And most of all, thank me. I mean, I have to put up with this every week. No wonder we have to take a week off every now and then just to recover. Right, we're going. Goodbye. We'll catch you next time on The Crush. Check out all the links below, and we'll catch you